Hello, hello. It's finals week. It's the end of summer and I'm feeling antsy and I just want to do something easy. So I thought I would make a book. And I got a request. I think it was my friend Alyssa's kid. It's either Alyssa's kid or Carla's kid. And I'm so sorry, I don't remember whose child it was. It was several weeks ago now. And I had COVID in between then, so my brain just turned to mush during that time. But one of them told me that their kid watches my videos. Thank you very much for watching. I see you and I love you and you're awesome. Tell your mom to contact me and I'll give you a shout out in my next video by name if you want one. But they wanted to see more bookbinding stuff and I'm all about requests, so I will show you some bookbinding stuff here. So I'm going to show you, this is a little, I shouldn't show you this book, but I'm going to. But I'm going to show you how I make books like this that have the raised spine. They have a hollow back. Oops. They have a hollow back spine so that they will open flat. You can sew several signatures in them. This one is a gift for someone, so I will be sending this off to them right away so that there's no spoilers. So I'm not going to go through this on camera right now, what's in this one. But we're just going to go over the basic construction because this is based off of a design. It's based off of several designs that I've gotten from several different YouTubers over the years of me watching YouTubers, and based off of ideas that I've got in taking, getting my fibers degree. So some of this comes from YouTube. Some of this comes from classes I've taken. I, at this point, can't really sort out which is which. So I apologize to you YouTubers out there if I've borrowed one of your ideas and you happen to see this video. Let me know and I will definitely put a link and give you a shout out in the video. I will give credit where credit is due. So we're going to, let me put that away. So we're going to go over how to build this up. And this one's going to be a true kind of ground up construction because I am all out of my chipboard. So I usually buy book board from Hollanders out of Ann Arbor. I'm out and it's summertime, so I'm broke. I don't work that much in the summer, so I'm super broke, so I can't buy anymore. But I have tons of old cereal boxes and stuff, so I'm going to repurpose those and get those going. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of straightening them out. I've cut one down to a pretty even rectangle, and then I use that as a template to trace on the others. I have 3 full boxes, so I have 6 sides. And then from there, we'll decide how big we want the covers to be. And we're going to layer these up. We're going to glue these layers together, laminate them together to create our front and back covers. So I was doing this and I was watching a YouTube video and I thought, why am I not doing this and talking to you? So we will get this done, get through these. It's tedious stuff, but this is the stuff where I like to do it. Like I can, like I said, put on a video. I can have a TV show going in the background. I can have an audiobook going, and I can just kind of zone out and my hands are moving and I'm doing something productive. And I could cut this on my little, I could be cutting this on here, but honestly, it's thin enough and my Olfa knife does a better job, I think. It just cuts through it in one swipe, where my little centipede there, I have to use a couple of passes to get through. So, and I may trim this down a little bit more. It's 7 1/4 wide. I'm not sure how long they are, but we have to cut them down again to make our book covers. I'm not going to make giant book covers. And we also need to decide. So I was watching a couple of YouTubers who had some really good creative ideas, but sometimes there's like a reason things are done a certain way. There's some rules you can break and it's fine, but there's some rules you at least want to be aware of it so that you know if you run into trouble, that's why you run into trouble. And one of those things is the grain of the paper or the grain of the cardstock in this, or it's not cardstock, it's chipboard in this case. And probably the easiest way you can tell what the grain is by attempting to bend this. So this bends pretty easily in one direction, and it does not bend easily in the other direction. So it's rigid this way. They do it that way. That's the way the box is made. They do it that way so that it doesn't collapse from the weight of the box. And, you know, the four sides together kind of hold it up pretty sturdy this way, but they don't want these to bow out from the cereal. They want to hold the cereal pretty rigidly inside the box. So that's why they put the grain going this way. Traditionally, that's the way you would also cut the book board, so that your book covers don't bow. Does that make sense? So that they don't bow around the pages. And I don't know how strong this is going to be even after laminating. I was at first thinking that each side would be 6 thick, but now I'm thinking each side is going to be 3 thick. So that's something I need to think too, is like, how am I going to laminate these? Because this, even though this book board is pretty thin, this is very strong stuff. Again, you can tell a difference. Notice how I can flex it lightly this way, but this way I really can't, not without breaking it. So this is the grain of this book board. And this is acid free. These boxes, probably not. So these are not going to be archival, where this is archival. Archival literally means it'll last 200 years, or it's rated to last 200 years. It'll probably last longer than that, but it's rated to last 200 years without being eaten up by like acids or whatever. So that's the downside behind using this, but we're just doing this for fun. So I'm also trying not to overthink this too much. I don't have any big pieces of bookboard left. So which way am I okay with it possibly bending? This way or this way? And I feel like neither is great. So I'm going to continue to think about that as I'm cutting these apart. Got 2 more to cut apart. And I'll think about it. And I have lots more boxes. I was hoarding these for a while. I don't eat cereal, but Reggie does. And sometimes I do. I go through my phases. So sometimes I eat cereal, sometimes I don't. I think these are all me. He doesn't eat sugary ones that much. But I was hoarding these for a while until I realized I had a ton of boxes. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something with these. I also hoard paper towel rolls. Paper towel rolls are nice. They're fairly sturdy cardboard. And what I do is I kind of lay them flat and cut them in half. So then I end up with 2 halves kind of like this. And then I take those halves, or what I have done, I should say, is I took those halves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and trimmed up the edges nice and neat so that they're nice and straight. And this is the base for my spine. So it's already curved, and you could encourage more of a curve on this if you want, more or less. You could flatten it out more, but I like this nice kind of gentle curve that I've got here. So we will work on this next. while I'm still thinking about my book covers. So you could use a variety of different glues on this. I like to use a solvent-based glue. I'm using Fabri-Tac. You could use Beacon 3-in-1 if you wanted. You could use probably that Tombow Aqua, whatever it is, glue. I think that one's solvent-based as well. What I wouldn't recommend using is a water-based glue, because a water-based glue will soften up this curve. It'll soften up the glue that is already in here. Because if you look, this is a spiral. It's a long piece of chipboard, like a lightweight chipboard that's wrapped around some kind of a cylinder to create this cylinder. So it's just layers of, it's like Trajan's column, art nerds. If there are any other art nerds out there. And so what I try to do is I try to alternate them. So like this one, they're going this way. Over here, they're going this way. So I'm going to alternate. So that one's going down. I want this one to go up. Because if you see, it's got a little bit of a curl to it. And that's just from the wrapping process. So I alternate these. I try to look at where that curve is, and I try to alternate the curve if I can, so I can get them to kind of straighten each other out. Okay. That top one's really the worst. The rest aren't too bad. Must be a different brand. All right, let's put that away so I don't chop my fingers off. All right, and I've got them, they slowly get bigger. They're like Russian stacking balls. They slowly get larger as I go down the stack, because the curve needs more surface area, right, to kind of curve around all of them. If you make them all the same size, then you're going to end up with this weird stepped look on the end. So, with no more further ado, we are going to glue these. So again, I'm just using Fabri-Tac. This is my favorite solvent-based glue. It is a little pricey though, so again, you could use, I would say use a wet glue on this. I don't know if I would use tape on this. I suppose you could, but so I said I didn't want to use the wet glue or the water-based glue because I didn't want it to break down the salt or the glue that's already there. But I do want this a little wet with glue because I do want this to be a little bit moldable. Again, you saw how it has this little kind of curve to it, and I want to be able to straighten that out. And with tape, you know, a dry adhesive like tape, you're just going to be stuck with it however it is. All right. Matching up edges, mushing it down so it gets good adhesion. And then moving on to the next one. All right, so I've got that pretty well kind of cemented down. Now I'm going to kind of rest it on the table and see which way I need to kind of encourage it to go. I think if it dries like that, I think we'll be good. So I'm just going to set that aside, and so this is what we've got. It's longer than I want. We will cut this down. So don't worry about these edges being kind of raggedy. We'll cut those off once we decide on how big our book is. But for right now, this is kind of our spine blank. And it's got that nice gentle curve to it. And Fabri-Tac dries pretty fast, which is another thing I like about it. And so this will be solid pretty quickly here. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to give it a rough measure. this is where I get out all of my clothespins. Aren't they a pretty shade of purple? That's from Dyeing Fabric once. Actually from Dyeing Fabric several times. You think I can get that pretty color purple on fabric first time around? Heck no. That took some work. Alright, and I think I'm missing one. I think one is in a deep dark corner that I haven't found yet. And I probably won't see it again until I move. So we are going to grab a couple binder clips to kind of augment the paper clips. Let me get this up out of my way too. Okay. So I said these are going to be my first line. Here's my spine. Let's make sure it's still, it's not too bad. It's pretty flat. Okay. Before I glue these on, let me not get ahead of myself for once. Let me set these aside. Put a binder clip on them so I don't lose them. All right. What did I decide? Anything? I think I'm going to take a hint from the cereal box people. I may regret this. You may be seeing me make a decision in real time that I will regret later. But, so that means I'm only going to have 3 layers per cover. Hopefully that's enough. I think so. Look at how different this is, right? I mean, it's not laminated yet, but like the chipboard that's actual meant for bookbinding, and then my chipboard from my cereal boxes. It's just flimsier stuff. And I can see they're not all perfectly square, but that's all right. I'll square them up. Okay, so I'm going to start by laminating these together. Now for this, I think I'm actually going to use tape. I don't think I'm going to use wet glue for this. Not that this stuff is cheap, but I'm halfway through my bottle of Fabri-Tac, and it's fairly expensive, and I'm not going to be able to get any anytime soon. PVA is going to... Sorry, PVA is too wet. That's my water-based glue, and that's going to cause everything to warp and do all kinds of crazy things. Then I gotta dig out my book press, and I just don't want to. So I think I'm going to take a cue from. So this is something I for sure learned online. I'm going to take a cue from the people who make albums online. And I'm going to laminate these together using this tape. I think. I may regret this. You may see me live to regret this. We'll see. I do think it's going to be easier if I cut this to size now, though. So, how big do we want our book to be? What if we did 5? Or we could do 6. 6 by 8. Because a standard sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11. So I'm thinking I want to do 6 by, I mean, really, I could do anything. I could do 6 by 9. 6 by 9. If I go this route. I think I like it. I think I like that a lot. All right, let me do 1. Boop, boop, beep, boop. Double check. That looks good. 6 by 9. You know, and I see people all the time. I see these old school scrapbookers and stuff, and they will just like pull out their cutters and they'll just like trust the rulers on their cutters. And that just gives me hives every time I see them do that. Like, more power to them, and their books always turn out great. So clearly they know their equipment, they know what they're doing, but I have never met a cutter whose ruler that was printed on it or imprinted into it I trusted. Now, I do use this as a general guide, but like, you will rarely see me pull this out and use these measurements. Rarely. And then this way. All right. There. The decision was made. But see what I mean? Like, we could have gone a little shorter and done 2, but I think I'm going to be much happier doing it this way. All right. So now, once again, I have my one I can use as a template. So I can just trace.
So basically, you just trace.
It's not tracing, all right? I add depth and shading to give the image more definition. Only then does the drawing truly take shape.
And we can, again, you know, once we get this laminated together, we can again go through and neaten up the edges so that they match up perfectly. And so now this allows me, like, I don't know if you can see, but there's like a nasty crease in this one. I don't know if you can see it or not. So now I can avoid that. I can avoid the nasty creases. I should have avoided all of this. It's probably grease spots.
Stacked. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now. For destiny, I'll take the long way proud.